Hello and welcome to Knitting Dragon episode 12. My name is Jessica. I'm also known as Iekika or Iekikadragon on Ravelry. This week has been a week. Let me tell you, it's been rough. So, oh my goodness, it's been so much. I think the reality of, you go in for a checkup and then you've got to wait a certain amount of time before your next checkup. Well, that's been a month in between checkups after the first initial round of them all. And because of 4th of July coming up, the doctors get some time off, rightfully so. And so my appointment got pushed back. So it's going to be longer, and it's only, a few days, because it's over a long weekend. But for some reason, mentally, that just messes with my head instead of because my internal clock was like, oh, you've only got 2 weeks left. But then I looked at the calendar and it's actually 3 weeks, and I don't know, it's just such a mental game changer. But anyway, you're here for the knitting. I'm here for the knitting and fiber crafts and things like that. So let's just get into the good stuff, shall we? So, welcome to my week of woe. Today, let's start with the Flirt skirt. Hello, darkness, my old friend, by Claire Jackson, using Malabrigo Susurro yarn in the colorway Paris Night. I was motivated, y'all, and I worked on this like nobody's business. So let me find the progress keeper. There it is. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Ta-da! And you'll notice no needles, but you'll notice I'm calling this still a work in progress. So here's my story. Look at that beautiful progress. I am really proud of that. I saw the end and I was like, we're going for it. Did the hem, which is you knit a certain amount. It's a fold over hem, purl row, fold and sew. So, just said sew, 2 different ways. I am sewing, and here is what I have sewn so far. I started sewing, I think, on Friday, maybe Saturday. This has been the bane of my existence. So I keep saying so. I'm going along. It is a slow process. First of all, because it took me a minute to figure it out, what I was doing. I'm being very particular so I set a certain number of markers, and then I make sure that I'm still on the same row, and then I move the markers and continue down. So to be fair, I am being very picky about it because I do want the hem to be even. I don't think a row or two would matter, but over the entire length of the skirt, that could change things quite a bit. I am a little frustrated. It's still when I hold it up, it curls up a little bit. And I don't know if that is because not all of it is done. This hasn't been sewn down yet. Or if it's just the way it's gonna be. See how it's curling up here? So I don't know if this is it'll come out with blocking issue or if it'll stop once I get all of it hemmed. I guess we'll see. The other issue with this is I am having, as I sew, a shocking amount of pain in my arm. It does almost feel like something is shocking me. It's crazy. It starts up here and it radiates all the way down, sometimes down to here, but most often to my elbow. And it is incredibly painful. And the first day that it was happening, I was like, just push through it. Sometimes that's what you have to do with pain. Not always, but sometimes you just have to push through it. It got so bad that I could do nothing else and had to just stop. everything. I had to stop everything, and I went and laid down, and it was not my favorite thing in the world. So, and I couldn't figure out, is it what I'm doing? Because the yarn, she said do three lengths of yarn to go all the way around. Well, the bottom of the skirt is huge, so it was so much yarn. So it's getting tangled. This looks tangled, it's actually not. It's getting tangled all the time as I'm pulling it through, and it's doing weird things, like the bottom is getting super twisted. Look how tight that twist is, but the top is becoming untwisted and breaking. So see here, there's a super, you can't see that. There's a super twisted section, but right here, this is about to break. I've already had it break once, and it's about to break again. So obviously I'm not going to have the full 3 lengths of yarn. I'm going to have to, I guess, sew in a huge long end so that it doesn't come loose, and then keep sewing the hem. So that's been troublesome. The yarn tangling and breaking is slowing down the process phenomenally. It has become quite frustrating. And then the pain shooting down my arm, and I couldn't figure out if it was the way that I'm pulling the yarn out, because I do, you know, one side or the other side to try and keep it from getting tangled. So I'll go through, pull all the yarn this way, and then when I go through again, I pull the all the yarn this way. And it's only this arm. Or if it's the way that I was sitting. Well, then this morning I was working on writing my notes down so that way I would have a general outline of what I wanted to say today. And I noticed it started again, just the pain radiating down, and I wasn't doing anything except for sitting and then writing. So I think it has something to do with the way that I'm sitting, because when it was happening, I was sitting on the couch, which I almost never do. I usually sit in a single chair because it offers more structure. So it's been a slow process, but let me show you again. So it is technically off the needles, but it's not done. So I'm not, you know, it's no longer on my needles, but I'm still considering it a work in progress. So it is been on there for 82 days, but we're close. I think because of the pain and everything like that, because I do want to finish this and I do want to wear this so much. So I am going to just probably stitch like 10, 20 stitches a day, maybe a little bit more. So I don't even know if I'll finish this for next week. It'll just depend on how I'm feeling. But it's so close now. I want to just finish, and I had focused on it this week because I was so close. I'm just it's so frustrating that I am this close and just cannot finish it. This is something I've not experienced in my life, like pain just stopping me from something. So it's a surprise to me. It's all brand new, but I am really proud of the progress, and the knitting doesn't seem to bother me. So that's really cool. I am excited about that. But further on in my week of woe, I also have my Campfire cardigan by Jess Coppom. This has been on my hook for 18 days because it is a crochet project, and I didn't touch it. So there is literally nothing new. I can show it to you, but nothing has changed because I figured, oh, I started sewing this on Friday. I'll be done maybe Saturday night, and then I would have all day Sunday and part of this morning to work on this Campfire cardigan. Nope, sure didn't. Didn't even get to it. So nothing has changed on here. Part of my week of woe, I suppose. But I do still love it. And it's kind of shocking because I kept thinking about working on this. I wanted to work on this. One arm is one way and one arm is the other way. I don't know if it matters right now. I'll fix it later. I kept wanting to work on this. And the moral of the story here was I was trying to push through the pain on the skirt because I wanted it to be done. I I kept thinking about working on this, but I kept not doing it. And then the pain would get to me and I wouldn't be able to do anything. So the moral of this story, work on what you feel like working on. I think I would have made more progress if I had just set down the skirt and worked on this instead. Just more progress on all of my projects in general. Do you know what I'm saying? So hopefully I learned that lesson. We'll see, because I do know when I tend to get close to the end of a project, I focus on it because it feels good. There's that excitement building about getting close to the end. So yeah, I guess we'll see if I've learned my lesson on that. I think as far as my plans for this go, my plans still are, I'm probably going to leave the sleeves this length. Although this week I started to question it as the air conditioning has really kicked on in more places because it's gotten hot, that maybe I do want it longer, but I just need to think about it. I think I would like to wear it a little bit because I can always add on length to the sleeve afterwards. So give it a test out, see if it's enough, because it is pretty warm. And so I'm just going to add length to the bottom, and then I'm going to add the hood because I love hoods. I'm a hoodie kind of girl. So that's my Campfire cardigan, I think I said, but I'm going to double check. It's been on my hook for, I did say, for 18 days. I'm still in love with that project, absolutely in love with it. I love how quickly it works up. Just didn't turn my attention to it this week. And that one, I am using the Yarn Bee Sugarwheel cotton in the color Neptune Haze. And my last project, I barely worked on, but I did work on this one a tiny bit, is my Mantis Shrimp Socks, based on the pattern by Summer Lee and the toe by Nitty Natty. This has now been on my needles for 9 days. And I also didn't, there goes Kara. I also didn't work on this very much because I was so focused on the skirt. However, I did take this to the swimming pool with me one day, and I think I did it twice. And because I can't go swimming, so I sit on the side and I knit. So this garnered a lot of attention at the pool. There was a lot of people there those days, and I think it's the bright colors, because I did also take the skirt one day to the pool. I think it's the bright colors of this sock. Lots of people noticed it and became interested, whereas the skirt, not as many people commented on it and not as easily seen, I guess. So that's my progress keeper. That's where I was. Got to show them off a little. So I do knit cuff down, and I got the heel flap and gusset done, and I did just get through the decreases, and I'm about to just knit the foot, the stockinette of the foot, which should go, sorry, my nose is so tickly, which should go fairly quickly. I love this colorway. I absolutely love it. So there's also a weird thing going on with me. Do you ever, when you love something, you want to savor it so much and you don't want it to end? That's what I'm doing with this one. Part of me doesn't want to work on it because I don't want to not be working on it, which doesn't make any sense when you say that out loud. So that's fine. Okay. You know when you think something in your head and you think it's totally normal, and then you say it out loud and realize how ridiculous it is? That's where we're at right now. One thing I did notice, because I don't do an afterthought heel or anything, I just keep it. I did notice the way the colors worked out, that there is a large chunk of just the plain that came through, and then there was a lot of color that came through on the heel, which in the long run really isn't that big a deal. I wish it had been extra color here, because I think that would have been fun, and it would have made, I don't know if it would have been better or worse. I guess we'll see if it happens again on the same sock in the same, or the next sock in the same way. But see how they're all so tight together. So you still would notice a difference, but, and in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. I'm still gonna wear these socks. I'm still gonna love these socks. But I did notice that. It is pretty noticeable just with the way the patterning is. I love it. I really do. I love these socks. The reds are a little bit in person, they're a little bit brighter than that, but not much. So they're a little bit more pink, I guess is the way I would word that. They're a little bit more magenta than they come across on the screen. So that's my knitting. I was so focused on the skirt and I thought I was gonna finish it, and I was so excited about that, and it kind of stalled out, and because of that, nothing else really got worked on properly. And so it was just kind of a week of woe for my fiber projects. So yeah, I'm gonna hold this because it makes me happy. But moving on to the gaming, it was a weird week. I feel like there's a theme. So, 2 of my games were canceled. No, wait. No, that's not true. Yes, it is. 2 of my games were canceled this week, and 2 pickup games were done in their place. Not necessarily intentionally. One was intentional, the other was just coincidental. So, the Pathfinder game where I play Hydrangea Heatherfoot, the investigator bard, the GM was like, hey, do we all want to play a game on Saturday? And I said, well, I have my regularly scheduled game, but if that falls through, I'll be there. Because there was already talk of it possibly falling through. I talked to the DM of my regular game, the Carcosa game, where I play a cleric, and it ended up not being able to be played this week. And so we played Pathfinder on Saturday instead, just a random day. Never have done that before. So played Hydrangea. We were in the boat prison. We ended up having to go into the captain's quarters. So I guess first we had to get the second crystal disabled. Why did I hold up 3? The second crystal disabled. And I went in and I was like, okay, we're allowed to make occultism checks to get this done. It's a very high DC, but which is difficulty class. But Hydrangea has a pretty good modifier for occultism. I think she's an expert in it. I don't think she's legendary. But anyway, I failed the first one. I rolled so low. The second one, I got a nat 20, so that removed 2 of the rings. And then I just epically failed. I didn't roll above a 10, I think the last one I rolled an 11, and that still wasn't high enough. I think if I had rolled a 12 or higher, it would have worked. What can you do? So it exploded, our ears were ringing, but it disabled it, I guess. So then we go into the captain's quarters. We talk our way in, convince him that we have information about something, about the big boom. We talk our way in to the cabin so we don't alert all of the other people. And then, whatever happened in talking with him, oh my goodness, excuse me, sorry. It went wrong as we went, and so the captain decided to pick a fight with us, I guess. He offered to 1v1 Gortusk, and Gortusk was like, no. So we just got into a big fight, and it was funny because I was advocating, oh, if it was 1v1, maybe you can take him out and it'll be great. I'm glad that he didn't, because this guy was a monk and he would have just pummeled on 1v1. It would have been a disaster. So the fights broke out, they all start fighting, and he goes to sound the alarm, the captain does, to get his backup. And I don't know what inspired me, but I walked over to the only door. I used an action to walk over. You get 3 actions in Pathfinder, and an action to lock the door. And I was very proud of myself because that actually did something. So the other people that he called couldn't get in. for a while. They did eventually, but we had defeated the captain by that point. And so I actually made a good strategic move for a change. Pat, 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 pat. Okay. Go into the second crystal. They're like, I don't know, none of our checks are working. Maybe we should just hit it. So I have a very long distance weapon. I stood back as far as I could. I hit it. It immediately exploded, so we didn't have to make a ton of checks, but it still exploded. Obviously, everybody knows that things have gone wrong now. So we ended up having to fight our way out of that. We eventually did. We get off the boat. We saved the guy that we were supposed to save. There was a weird fight, like we had to throw off dead people and chum for these 3-headed sharks with octopus bodies. They were terrifying. There was 3 of them, so it distracted 2 of them, and then we only had to fight 1 of them. That was Kvek's strategy, and it worked well. Although he's pretty well known for coming up with good strategies. So, yeah. And then we started having to figure out how we're going to clear our names now. So that was our first random game. Our regularly scheduled Sunday game of Tomb of Annihilation was also canceled this week. So I said, you know what? I can do a one-shot, and people agreed to let me do that. It's been a while since I think I've GM'd 1 game and I've DM'd several, but it's been a while. And I felt a little rusty. I kind of tossed it together because it was just all that day. Had to put the maps together, had to make the character sheets because none of it would preload in for me. It was a struggle. The struggle was real, but I did it. I got it done. I GM'd a game called Sundered Waves, and it's a one-shot in Pathfinder. The people that played pre-generated characters. One of them, who I thought was going to be able to make it, I guess didn't get the memo that we were playing something anyways, so wasn't there. So one person played 2 characters, and we were off and running. So I ran a game. It was great. I thought it was fun. I was rusty, but I've been playing enough that it wasn't too far gone. And there were some puzzles. The very first puzzle written in that game, I do not think is very feasible. It's a great puzzle in a physical sense, but as just something that you're playing online or around a table, unless you have the physical object, I just don't think it translates well. Other than that, there were some fun fights. There was a harrowing bad guy at the end. I did get 1 character unconscious and another one painfully close, 1 hit point away, but couldn't hit him after that. Oh, what can you do? They would have won anyway, but it was exciting for me. I felt like it gave them a little bit of tension on whether they were going to make it, and I think it was fun. I think everybody had a good time. You know how you always question, as a GM, like as a player, I'm always like, this is amazing, I love it, it's always fun. But as a GM, I always question if anybody had any fun. So that's my gaming. I think we have a game tonight for Pathfinder, like the regularly scheduled Pathfinder. And the other games, I won't have Carcosa, but that one's never streamed anyway. And I think we should have Tomb of Annihilation back on Sunday, but I guess we'll see. So yeah, you could go see Pathfinder with Pepper Reel on Twitch, and you can go see Tomb of Annihilation with Man on Twitch. And that is everything as far as gaming goes. What am I reading? Nothing new. I have found that with the kids home from school, I have decidedly less time to read. I do when I wake up early in the morning. It is really nice out right now. So the temperature is a warm but comfortable temperature, and it's usually fairly humid. First thing in the morning when I wake up between 5:30 and 6 usually. Sometimes I'm lazy and lay in bed till 6:30. So I get up, I get my tea, and I go outside and I just sit and read and knit for a little bit while I'm reading. And so that one I am reading The Court of Wings and Ruin. The book's right over there, so I have to look at it. A Court of Wings and Ruin. Not as much setup. Remember how I said that this was a setup book? So it turns out it's not as much setup as the first book, so we are getting into some things now. It's fast-paced. I'm just having to go slow because of life. It's a good book. I think she's a good writer. So, like I said, get ready. Here comes the Sarah J. Maas train. Choo-choo. Nothing's changed on Audible. I'm not listening to Stephen King out in the open for everybody to listen to. So I haven't been listening to that, and I haven't been on my Kindle either. So there we have it. What I did read was the adventure. I spent all day yesterday almost reading and preparing the adventure, because that's what D&D and Pathfinder really is all about for AGM, is reading. It technically is for the players too, because they have to read all the feats and all the, everything to make their character work well. It's just a lot of reading. So that's mostly what I was reading. And of course, just in the mornings. As far as life goes, what can I tell you? It was a whirlwind week. Our pool time is our get out of the house time. We have a pool in the neighborhood and we go and visit that just to kind of break the day up a little bit. And it has been hot, so it's been nice to go. I do dip my toes in, and that feels good. Beyond that, there was so much pain this week. That's kind of all I could really focus on. Oh, last night I did make some chicken korma, so pretty proud of that. I still have to get help lifting the pans. I can't lift those yet, but I made the food and I thought it was delicious, and everybody ate it. Oh, and we used, for the rice, we used the rice that we got at Brook Green Gardens. That rice is really good. So it's grown up in North Carolina now, but it was cultivated at Brook Green Gardens in South Carolina, and I really enjoyed it. So that's what's been going on. That's what I've been making. That's what I've been gaming. I think that'll be it for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. It is truly a pleasure and a joy to have you along on this crazy ride with me. Happy crafting, happy gaming, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.